Indeed, a great privilege to introduce the next speaker. Professor Devika Madalli, who is the director of InflibNet, Gandhinagar, which is, she was also a professor of Documentation Research and Training Center of the Documentation Research and Training Center of the Indian Statistical Institute, Bangalore. Adjunct faculty, DISI University of Trento. She's a founding member and has served as a co-chair of the Agricultural Data Interest Group, Research Data Alliance. Her interest lies in open data repositories and data management, knowledge organization, and application of facetization in information systems, information infrastructure, agri-semantics, digital libraries, semantic web technologies, faceted ontologies, etc. So she's going to talk about libraries as collaborative spaces in academic and research ecosystem. Professor Devika, please.
Thanks very much for the kind introduction. And I'm certainly very happy to be here. And maybe my first appearance after taking the newest office that I have acquired now. And but I had promised Paul before this that I'll come to this event. So it's a word of honor that I had to keep. I also would like to thank the organizers, Professor Sinha and colleagues, for having thought of a very relevant topic which people often discuss about. Now what happens to us first? Not what happens to libraries, but what happens to us, because we call ourselves library science professionals, no? So we are worried first of all about ourselves. What will happen to us? Will ChatGPT simply replace us? Now you can see in the Times already on the news, the pretty girls and the handsome guys who used to tell about weather, they have disappeared. Okay, they are now replaced by bots, and that's very sad because some guys were handsome who used to tell about the interesting part of the weather cast were the guys. So, but they are gone now. So people are thinking one day will we be greeted by some bots, or there will be only a screen where the library used to be. This is the perception that people have, and I don't blame, like Satya, I call him Satya, Mr. Satyanarayana, just shared with you very interesting technological breakthroughs which are pervasive. Much as we resist them or whatever we might like, they are pervasive. We have to live with them. Like there existed a time when I said, when I was very irritated with mobile phones, everybody used to be on mobile phone. And even if I wanted to ask direction on the street, nobody was free because they were on the mobile phone. So I used to say, I think I don't want to own a mobile anymore. But then we have to live with this. So that's how, like with times we evolve, but the question remains how we make this whole thing of libraries and librarianship relevant, and how we would transform ourselves while still holding the fundamental duty that we try to fulfill is building this country or communities as knowledge-centric communities. So people like to say very nicely, because it's a nice word to use, saying that we are a knowledge economy, we are a knowledge society, but deep inside that is one institution which will be key to the entire thing, that is libraries. So as long as we, the fraternity of librarianship, recognize that we have that key role, no matter in what form it manifests, digital or physical, or what form it manifests, we have to recognize that we have to continue to play that role, that very crucial role of being the crux of a knowledge society. So I come from formal training in library information science. My journey started 32 years back with me accidentally walking into a class of library science. And that's not just my story. I can say, I don't know how many of you are trained librarians here. And if your parents asked you when you were growing up, when you were 3 or 4, what do you want to be after you grew up? You never said a librarian. I'll bet my bottom dollar. I'll bet my bottom rupee that you all never aspired to be a librarian. But you somehow stumbled into a very, very important and very responsible profession, like I did stumble into, and I'm so happy I did. Because when I was very, very young, one of my uncles bought me a white coat and a stethoscope, the toy one, and they used to call me Dr. Devika from young age, okay? So I always fancied myself as a doctor, and then I became a doctor of a different kind. A doctorate, but never that. So this profession is like that. We chance upon it, but we live and we grow into this profession. And that's the beauty, at least for me, has been with this profession, that there's such tremendous growth, there's such tremendous diversity, and there's such tremendous scope for our thoughts to grow in this field. I'm sure in your respective fields it is there too, but for me it has been a highly fruitful and a very satisfying journey. And what is more satisfying is I stand about 55 years right now, but I find I need another 55 years to really learn even a little more in this science. So this is exactly why I love what I do. As the speaker before me, Mr. Kesavan, pointed out, if you don't love this profession, you get out of it. There's no other easier way or nicer way to say that. So for me, it has been engaging, and I just thought that I will give that as a preamble to whatever I say, that whenever there is a question of existence, or there is a challenge of like how we would shape ourselves and our services, whenever that comes in front of us, which will come because these times are really evolving times, these questions will come, and all we have to say is that we are ready. We were ready always, as also Mr. Satyanarayana pointed out, that many of the services that he pointed out, the libraries were doing already. We were online before the world was web-based. Okay, the world thinks web-based is online, but we were online before web-based world. So that's how libraries have pioneered the innovations in the knowledge space. And the thing is, the one thing I would like to congratulate, sorry, I'm just ambling around without touching my PPT, but let me, please indulge me. The one thing I should really, really appreciate my fraternity of library science people is, they went to schools of library science, they studied whatever was the syllabus and curriculum dictated to them. They came out right into challenging situations where the school taught something, the syllabus was something else, the practice was something totally different, right? At your libraries, there was a physicist, there was a mathematician, there was an experiment student who comes in. They were everybody, they were live. These are not something that live users with very much live requirements. And here's a librarian fresh out of Annamalai University or Anna University or DRTC or wherever. We have only gone to school and studied that. Now how are we supposed to answer this thing, right? So librarianship intuitively, I really congratulate all my colleagues in this profession. Intuitively, we grow into it. We adapt ourselves. We learn technology if we have to. We don't go back to schools. We don't take what is the CS guys do, certification of this and certification of that. Every day they are trying to grab a certification and show how much they have improved their skills. We are also required to improve our skills, and we have done without those highly paid and accessible certifications. So that's one thing we have always done. So this is why I'm saying this is, the question that are we relevant will keep coming up. And let us take that not as a challenge, but as an opportunity. This is what and we have always done this. We've always treated that question not as a challenge, but as an opportunity. And we have grown into it. We have proved ourselves time and time again. So that's exactly how I have shaped the talk today, whether the physical libraries will be relevant. Yes, they will be, but not called maybe as physical libraries anymore, but will be called as spaces now. Spaces of collaboration, spaces to nurture knowledge transactions. It's not just about books giving out, it's about transaction. It's the entire architecture and the infrastructure required for knowledge transactions. This is how I would like to see it as. So one part of it could be that library acts as a community space. It serves as community centers. It provides space for hosting, for example, knowledge sharing events such as this one right now that is happening. It would also engage users in various physical and creative activities, maybe with a student's body, for example, to build confidence in them. It will also provide a personal identification for users, just like in computer science you may be calling it as LDAP, that one identity will work. So your library identity should work for you across the campus, which usually happens. Then you build social networks. Yes, you have social networks which are virtual, online, but this social network is people-to-people network. Because we know that at least the COVID was horrible. We lost many loved ones, I know, but it gave us some very good byproducts, okay? That we learned what's the value of people, meeting face to face, talking, shaking hands again, being able to shake hands again, being able to see somebody's face again. I was just happy to see people after 3 years. I mean, it was so depressing to sit at home and keep on listening only about who went. And after that kind of a harrowing experience, I think we are more than ready to now acknowledge what is the value of having people in a room and be able to look into the eyes of people and talk. Yes, we did a lot on the computer screens. We could do, that's good. And India also did not lag behind. That is also good at that time, because we were already resilient, and we were more resilient than many other countries. And we were also tech savvy and tech ready for COVID, though we never knew COVID was going to attack us like this. So it didn't cripple us in the way that it did other countries. But then, like I say, it really drove, at least to me, the value of having the personal interactions is very much important, and it builds much more than interacting through a 12-inch screen or a 14-inch screen or whatever that we did. And then citizen services, it's not exactly academic libraries, but we could engage our huge network of public libraries, the physical infrastructure to deliver citizen services. And one of the largest responsibilities, in my view, is to involve youngsters in the knowledge activities and provide resources, reading spaces to help them shape their career aspirations. Once we do that, like people always ask, what is the footfall, okay? So with the electronic resources coming to people's desktop, the physical footfall into the libraries came down. And this is a matter of concern for librarians when they have to give that metric. What is the footfall in your library? How many people really physically visit you? I mean, if they don't have to visit, I don't need to force them to visit. That's the first principle. I don't have to force anybody to say, I need footfall, so please come into the library once. Okay, that way I could simply make it like, in the US or other Western countries, if you go and visit some sightseeing place, after you're done, usually how do you come out? They make you go out through a souvenir shop. Usually the exit is usually routed like that, so that you end up picking 1 or 2 T-shirts or a souvenir or something like this, okay? You're done. So I would place the library like that in an institution where I force people to walk through at least, and then they are forced to look at something there, and then maybe on their way they become interested and they ask about one or two things that are on display. So there are ways of getting footfall. There are ways and ways that we could have, but that's the thing, we have to innovate. And one way of getting for sure the youth into the libraries is to give curated career information service. By doing that through dialogue and not through just an e-resource, you would really, really attract them to come and, you know, peep into the library. So now the other one main role is the preservation of cultural heritage. This was touched upon before also a little bit. How do we really, first the value and the worth, trying to drive the worth of the collections like rare books, like manuscripts, many artifacts that are cultural assets. And these, of course, can be digitized for view online, but then they have to be preserved and conserved and exhibited in a way that the users can visit and see them, and in some cases use them. So conservation of rare materials requires specialized preservation methods. I do not know how many of you have visited the IGNCA in Delhi, which is the Indira Gandhi Center for Arts. They really have got a very large dedicated section where they even show to visitors like this what preservation and conservation really means and what are the techniques they use, and there's a very enthusiastic team there which show how what all they do. And then that's when we realize that there is a bit of work that goes into doing this. And why? Why? Because we need to preserve these very, very precious artifacts that are there. And also how the same section also talks about how we can create longevity of rare collections and even protect them for against deterioration. Various kinds of deteriorations are there, the damage and loss due to, Paul was just saying how the floods recently have played havoc over here. So we need to do this. And then making them accessible to research and public and arranging the viewing areas, arranging the digitization projects, and having guided access that can really make them a worthwhile collection. So as you realize, these are definitely part of the physical activities that a physical library does. Now, in addition to this, we could organize, or some libraries are already doing, the cultural and educational programs. They host a variety of cultural events, then author discussion, book readings. These are very, very common, where some author who is popular, celebrity is called in the domains of which the library deals with, of the users of the library. Hence, there is an active engagement with actual in-skin authors, so that the youngsters and the faculty and the researchers get a chance to interact. There are also different other different opportunities, like hosting the educational workshops and lectures, or arranging what are the continuous learning opportunities outside traditional classroom. Like one example I already gave you was that the professionals of libraries themselves have gone to formal library schools a long time back. The information world has changed, and they have to go through something in their career-based learning systems. So under the UGC, there are some HRDCs which do organize the in-career learning programs, but that's just one part that they can do, and they have their own limitations. They do it regionally in some parts. Some participants get to go, and some participants don't get leave, or there are not many seats available and such things. This is where the libraries can step in. Okay? Nowadays, it's possible to replicate what's happening in HRDCs, for example, and take it by the domains and organize them within the library somewhere, so that if somebody has a time, they don't have to go on leave for 21 days, they don't have the opportunity, then they can meaningfully really impart these learning within the libraries. So there are, to what comes to my mind is n number of things that we can do, and not just, give the picture as though the libraries with the books and the physical journals, that was what it was, and whether that will exist in future. And people like Bill Gates can make predictions, whatever he likes. That's nice. But the poor guy could not predict he will go single at some point in life himself. So that's okay. Such things happen. Okay. And then, on the continuous learning, again, I would like to stress there that here in the library-based, it need not be based on age factor or some required formal prerequisites. We could open up the doors for across the age and promote lifelong learning. Just for, if somebody wants to learn for intellectual curiosity, then so be it. So, it need not be to earn a degree or earn a job. If somebody has such a requirement, so the libraries can reshape themselves and the learning content, which cannot be done in the other formal arenas. This is what the library can do. Then, house exclusive archives and special collections, again, like manuscripts. You have vital resource collections which are meant for your research scholars and researchers, curated for them. Preservation and historical and cultural heritage. Again, many things can come under this. And also here I have missed in the special collections, which is now being discussed a lot, is the IKCs, the indigenous knowledge collections. So these also can be a part of, because indigenous knowledge is, again, it's not one size fits all. The indigenous knowledge can be in so many different forms locally around one library where it exists. So for example, IMSC library is supposed to serve IMSC, that's fine. But in the locality, in the vicinity here, there may be a certain kind of a weave, there may be a certain kind of a traditional chant, or a song or something. This is something that the library in Bangalore will not know about, because it is in this vicinity. So this is knowledge, this is indigenous knowledge that is not available anywhere else. So it becomes the part and parcel of librarianship, how we can really get this, how we can organize, give this as an organized knowledge piece. So there is much discussion about IKCs, and I still have to see something very nice and integrated about it taking shape. Right now there are discussions, and InfibNet will soon be involved in IKCs for this country. So, and also we can think of digital literacy programs, tailored training programs and workshops. It is about digital, but this has to be conducted by a physical library. How something like, say, generative AI came. Now, how do we sensitize people about what it's all about? How do they use it? So there is openai.com. Just go click it and start using it. That's what is happening. But we could be more organized about this. We can have tailored training programs and workshop, create targeted awareness about the materials that are being used, teaching users on government citizen service. We can create these portals. Many a time the government schemes are there, and many facilities are there, but the target audience did not even hear about them. They don't even know about them. So this happens. So that could also be another service. Now the library usually is one service that it is known for, which is, again, based on personal interaction, is the reference service. So I usually joke that if somebody is given the job of a reference librarian, the best thing she or he would do is, when they see somebody approaching the desk, they run away. They try to run away, because you never know what the next question is. It's the life of this librarian is not that easy. like other jobs that you go to an industry, something is defined, you have a specification, you have to produce so many pieces of a machine or something. You work for a watch factory, you go in the morning till evening, you have to do that job. Good, but it's monotonous, but you do that job. That's defined. Is the life of a librarian that easy? Or a reference library? You go in the morning and till the evening, you really don't know what's hitting you. Which student is going to come, which exam you have to gear up for as a support service, which conference is going to happen and what kind of support you have to give, what government scheme is going to come and what is your role. I mean, it's very, very, very dynamic. It's very contrary to the image that general people have that a librarian's job is cool and sedentary or something like that. Somebody told me when I was making a career choice long back, that was the notion, okay? When a lady has to work, the best job for her is to become a teacher or a bank clerk, okay? And I chose to be a teacher, and I didn't know that I would be hit from all sides, 20 hours a day, only giving me 4 hours of sleep or something. So it is not that easy that people have the notion about. It's notional. So reference service is one such service where you get so many queries. And again, like the example of production of a watch or something I said, when I compare that, if a specification is made by Titan or HMT or whatever, Tag Heuer, that watch can be produced 1,000 times or 10,000 pieces or whatever number of pieces because the specification is there. A reference question is asked to a librarian by one user, okay? And it is answered. This is the scenario I am giving. A reference librarian sitting, a user comes, asks a question, gets the answer. Will it ever be repeated again? The chances are 0. The same user getting an answer for the same reference query will not come to the reference librarian unless something is wrong. Okay, he needs an extension of it. So the life of a reference service is equal to one time only, and it dies after that. That's the kind of challenge that reference services have. Okay, so we can create this instead of running away, we can take this challenge as an opportunity, create trustworthy and credible sources that people really trust people more than technology. Like already the example was given, you ask even the generative AI, I used to give the example of Google. I go and ask something to the Google, I want to book a ticket book a ticket to Bangalore because I'm headed to Bangalore. I say that. But Google is not somebody superhuman, right? It doesn't get into my head and read what exactly I want. I just say I want a ticket to Bangalore. It will come back and say, give all tickets, plane tickets, train tickets, bus tickets. There's no boat service to Bangalore, otherwise that also it would have given. So it gives everything. And then I scratch my head, oh my God, I should have told it plane tickets. Then I say, I want air tickets to Bangalore. Then it says, this is not enough. When do you want to fly? You want to fly today, tomorrow? Then I think of, oh, I should have also said, now whose mistake? Is this Google's mistake? It's not Google. I am not giving the specification properly, and I'm trying to say that Google is not answering me. The same way the ChatGPT or whatever generative ones are giving to the best of their knowledge. To the best of their knowledge is the word, is the term that we should know. Like, after all, if you ask me the questions that I ask the generative AI, how do I answer a question? How do I answer a question? I would answer a question based on my knowledge base, what is there up here, or based on the resources I have, right? That's reference service. If my answer to you is as good as my knowledge that I have, my intuition and inferencing I have, and the resources I have at my disposal, that's it. That's the same with Chat GPT or whatever generative AI. Only thing where I really, really admire them is they have learning capacity. They're building in learning capacity with LLMs, and I hope the LLM research goes in that way. We ourselves are involved with the NIST of USA in developing some LLM models, also in Indian languages. And I know the challenges that are there, but then we are getting somewhere with that. So people still trust people more than technology, is what I'm saying. Still at this moment, if I want to say, people still like to get an answer from people rather than technology. That's where we could again have our own kind of relevance in this emerging world. Giving actual research support to researchers, giving some physical services, like we have our interlibrary loan service, where a physical book is actually delivered from one physical spot to another physical spot, and this is managed, and also having the government information services under the reference services. Then, of course, we give the normal access to print. I think I will hurry up now. I have about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, okay. Now, again, the other thing is whether technology is a challenge to the physical library. Yeah. But we think, again, I always look at challenge as an opportunity. Here is the opportunity. How the library will empower its own users for technology access. Yes, technology is important, and we have to make our patrons technology ready. So this is where we can do this LTSADR, the language, offer digital materials in different languages if they want to access, how they do, how provide the know-how, provide access and training to technology, provide space for technical creativity. This can be another part. Provide the access to the digital devices and internet connection, the physical location. Like I visited South Korea and there in an academic library, because these children like to camp, right? They like to go out camping usually. So what they did was, outside the library, they gave the camps, the little the huts where they actually pitched them as a camp, and they gave them a Wi-Fi access there, and then they could borrow the books and sort of in a feel alike as though they are camping outside in the woods and studying. They created such an environment, and then the children were happy to sort of book those camps and then come and do their research there. Just some way of innovating and keep engaging the younger people. So such things were done, how to deliver the service in different and dynamic ways. And resources themselves, if even they are digital, we teach and we sensitize our clientele in the use of those digital research resources. Like somebody, like Mr. Keshavan already touched upon this copyright issue. We think that somehow we assign ourselves a right to everything that we see. Okay, that's the default, but it's not the way the world works. There is something called copyrights. And first of all, librarians should make it their business to be aware of what is copyright, what is covered under it, and what is not. Make it their business. And then next, they should make it their business to make them aware, our clientele aware, that this is exactly what we have rights to, and this is allowed and this is not allowed. Now, this cannot be expected just as knowledge out of our users. We need to sensitize them, and that's why we need to sort of run some workshops or awareness programs on this. And also, libraries as an innovation hub, we can use it for innovative other things, like, for example, technology-driven learning, how we can really do this, or how we can emphasize on empowerment through knowledge, how we can shape up certain programs that would do this. And use library as open collaborative spaces. I was in, again, where was I? In Kerala, the Indian Library Congress. This is the first of its kind that was held last year, ILC. And there was no Congress before that. And I found it very interesting that Kerala proposed areas of about, I think it is 10 acres or something like that, across Kerala at different places, 10-acre space, which would have cultural hub, sports hub, and a knowledge hub. These three were planned across different districts. And I said, how is that going to work? Library is supposed to be very silent, whereas the cultural and the sports can tend to be noisy. So they said, no, we want to do away with library as silent zone and meditation zone. We want it to be live, except for the part where people really want to read and research, but the other interactive parts, they want to integrate with these activities. So this is somehow, how a collaborative cultural and sports facility can be created. So this is, I think I'll stop with this. There is building relationship. This is what the library can be used for: partnering with organization, building personal identification, I already talked, having a welcoming ambience. Now there's a lot of talk about how the library spaces can be designed to, and how the ambience can be planned. A few years back, it became a big topic, green libraries. We read a few research theses also on how libraries can go green. So how to create this, and hosting events in I'll just come to the other parts. Yeah, this is one part also I would like to stress, that let us not always think libraries are only for the literate, and libraries are only for the college-going or the office-going people or institute-attending people. That perception also needs to change. We have to reach the unreached and try to incorporate all our colleagues and fellow citizens into the social cultural ambience of the country. So this is one additional activity that the library should take on. So coming to the others, this I will skip. Yeah, the exchange, what we call the library extension service, are becoming more and more important. Arranging something like library talks and public lectures. I already stressed upon how we can attract the youth by employment news and drives holding from the library. Exhibitions. This is another interesting thing I saw in a recent library that I visited. When you go to libraries, you see on the walls some art, right? And they proudly say that we have a collection. We have one original from so-and-so, and they're very proud. This library was very proud to show the art was all done either by their staff or their students. Okay, so they hold a competition kind of thing every year, and some art gets selected in that, and that only adorns the library walls. So this is the kind of building relationship with the community that it serves. And of course, the people are happy that they are part of this, and that art was quite good, I should say this. So this is the kind of exhibitions and art that library could foster. And also engage literary competitions and quiz to engage the locals and the clientele of the library. So it could, in short, work as an interface. It is no longer a building in some corner of the campus. It's no longer to be bound by some walls, but it should really be an interactive interface between several activities of the campus, whether, like I said, library, sports, recreation could be integrated. I also visited certain libraries because of COVID times. They had a part of their facility to talk on COVID or talk on what all preventive measures they can do. They had vaccine drives within the libraries as part of it. They even had oxygen facility. Some of the libraries involved themselves proactively in this. This is what I saw. Then they could interface with governance and teaching in academic environment. This is something that is lacking in academic environment. Library is seen as something separate. Librarian is part of Senate or syndicate by ex officio, but hardly participates. But I saw, again, in certain library, in one library at least, I saw the space within the library building to organize the governance body meeting, for example, or the BOSs. They made it within the library because it is cross departments, cross divisions, something like a fertile, non-committal, this thing where people can come, meet, and so BOSs, even governing body meetings were held there, so that the library suddenly became something important, and people go there, they see some infrastructure is not right, let them see it, the governing board. So they realize that they should do something about this at least. So this is how you can bring, like I saw this very, very long back when I was a small student. There's a law school of India near my institute in Bangalore. And it's a very popular and the institute. The road to that institute was virtually not existing. You had to go on like potholes and bumpy roads. Then the premier did a very smart thing. He simply invited the President of India to inaugurate the new complex in that compound. Done. The road was laid in 6 weeks' time. Okay, so there is some strategy there. So strategies, these work, right? Then the last thing I would say is to really forge participatory approach. So see your stakeholders, proactively you involve them, engage with them, and see that there is a participatory approach. So if we do all this, I think, again, like I would like to stress the challenge that are we relevant? Are we relevant? Will we be relevant? The challenge can be turned into an opportunity any day. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Professor Devika. Maybe we can take one or two quick questions if, yeah.
It was an excellent talk, quite descriptive. You're talking about reference surveys. Looking at the way the generative AI is evolving with both Google and Microsoft, is AI going to be a challenge for reference librarians, or is there a way for them to complement? Because they have these abilities, these AI products, deeper search engines. Right now, they don't seem to be deploying the search engines in a deeper level. So when they do that, and if the content mass is very huge, particularly for reference queries in public libraries, and there, do you think ChatGPT kind of model will prove to be in the near term a challenge to reference librarians?
Yeah, that's a very good question, of course, and relevant in these times to contemplate upon. In my view, I think the generative AI will be a very, very important complementary tool for us, the librarians. And we can really leverage upon that power. As I already said, and my own PhD thesis, how many years back, long back, it is 25 years back, was on AI in the late 90s, and late 90s I worked. And that AI was slightly different from, we worked in frame-based knowledge systems at that time that we worked, John McCarthy and those models. But the generative AI now is, like, again, a byproduct of what was done for decades then. So the byproducts, though we didn't invent that machine which emulates human mind, we didn't do that till today, but the byproducts themselves are worth using. So again, in my mind and my personality is like that, I turn opportunities, challenges to opportunities. So saying that generative AI will put an end to librarianship or to reference librarianship is, I don't think that was going to happen. I think it will make us more relevant and more in our work if we use that complementarily in our work. Like you yourself gave the example, though generative AI at the moment is good, I have to compliment them on the work. They're good, they're quite good, but they can create some embarrassment where the context is missing. So I don't, like I said already, what I answer you depends upon not only my knowledge base, but on my human capacity for inferencing. That's a major part of it. Now that part is going to remain. Human part of inferencing is going to be required. Okay. However much the knowledge base grows, however much the tools will improve, in the end, the last mile connectivity will be the reference librarian. So that's my take.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
With these generative and products, AI products, at this point of time, I don't know how it will evolve in future. At this point of time, you put the same question to these two guys, and often you get contradictory answers.
Yes, you do. That's what they are referring, and these are also flushing out they are not static databases. They're flushing out and they're redoing their knowledge bases. Google has a time limit of 4 hours or 3 hours, something like that. And even the knowledge is also dynamic. Nobody can sort of store everything. They're flushing it out. So if I give the same question today to the same source, and tomorrow the same question, the answers are different. But that's okay. We can excuse them. If somebody asks me today something and tomorrow something, maybe we can't even expect human from them, but we are trying to expect something superhuman from them just because they are machines. Yes.
Yeah, it's not a question, I just want to add a comment. It's a very good presentation. The same AI, I don't know how many of you are aware, only just recently New York Times has filed a case against AI as well as Microsoft, saying that they have taken millions of their articles without giving any credit to train their chatbot. Suppose you do a search today. If you get an output, word by word, what has been published in New York Times comes through that ChatGPT. They did not give any credit. So survival of all these AI products will also depend upon this main case the world is watching now. So they are picking up content without giving any credit. It's not original, that is something coming. For example, if you go to Wikipedia, whatever you read, at least some credit is given to from where it has come. In AI, you won't get all those. So what we are right now contemplating, like Mr. Satyanarayana says, whether this will become a real challenge in future, yes, definitely it will become a challenge. We need to find a mechanism to add more value through our services while competing with such products.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they are just crawling and picking up whatever resources they are getting on it. They are not aware of Creative Commons or what copyright, that part. So they can give it, but we cannot give that to our clientele straight away as a service.
So, let's thank Dr. Okay. So maybe we can, if it's a quick one, maybe, yeah.
Need details about One Nation, One Digital Library. This is new trend now, 2 years back onwards, but where it is,
okay,
how it is implemented, is it possible to get the benefits of the
I'm still not able to give a very definitive answer on ONOS. Even at InflibNet, we are waiting to hear from the ministry. But within the next 2-3 weeks, I expect to hear a formal notification. So you will hear from my colleagues.